back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Sly and I am a visually impaired cosplayer and a costume and wig commissioner with my company Gamer Creations. Today I'm coming to you guys with a pretty helpful video. Hopefully it's helpful to you guys who need it. So today I'm bringing you tips and tricks on how to sew more effectively if you are visually impaired. This can also work if you're not visually impaired. If you're fully sighted, these things are also very helpful to you. And if you're completely blind, some of these things can work also, but you just might want to have someone there to help you out and just make sure you're not going to stab yourself or something like that. So if you guys would like to hear these things, please stay tuned. Okay, so tip number one is to have a good sewing machine. This one is a Singer 7256. You can get it on Amazon right now for $169.99 if you have Prime. And it's, even if you don't have Prime, it's still that price, but you may have to pay shipping if you don't have Prime. But it's free shipping if you do. So the reason why I like this one, and it's good for those who are visually impaired, is it has the automatic needle threader. It takes some time to learn how to use it, but if you practice at it, you can do it. Because I can't see I can't see the needle whatsoever. I can't see when the thread goes through the needle, so I do this all by feel. So I just pull the lever down, put the thread under this little hook. You probably can't see it. I can show it to you up close in a sec. Wrap it around, pull this back, go under, push it forward, and then it should have looped through. It did. Then I just pull the loop, and then I threaded my machine. I can show you again at another angle because my arm was kind of blocking it, but I didn't look at that at all. I did that all by feel pretty much. It's a good thing I don't have to look at what I'm doing because I'm behind the camera and cannot see anything. So here's our thread. We gotta take this lever on the side, push it down. There's this little hook right here. You're gonna wanna put the thread under. There's a lot of YouTube videos of this too that have a lot closer visuals than I have, but I'm just showing you that you can do it while you're not looking at it. I'm looking through the screen just so I know that my hands are in view, but I'm not actually looking at the needle. So it's hooked around, and then I went over, there's another little hook up here, and then there's another hook here where my right hand is, right in front of the needle. You hold your thread up, you push forward, and if you did it right, you should see, I can't even see through my camera right now, so hopefully you're seeing the loop of thread that's in there. It looks blurry to me. Maybe that's because this is here. Okay. So there's my needle and my thread loop came out. Okay, hold on. I just want to show you guys the thread loop because it's cool. Under, push. Damn it. Okay. This happens too. You might have to try several times. I think I might have pulled too hard. There's my loop. Okay. So right there, I'm going to carefully pull, and you just want to make sure you keep the loop in your hand so that, because if you pull on this thread right here, you're going to pull it back out of the needle. So you want to keep pulling the loop until you have your thread all the way out. Now it's out, and sometimes you might have to unhook it from here because sometimes it stays hooked up, and then you just put it under your foot and it's threaded and you're ready. So yeah, that is the first tip on how you can do things a lot easier when you're sewing. So yeah, a lot of machines actually have this little self-threader, so just any machine you want, pretty much. It doesn't have to be a computerized machine. Computerized is just, it gives you a lot more functions, but as long as you have this, it'll make your life so much easier. Tip number 2 is using a hair tie as your guide while you're sewing. So I didn't get this idea on my own, I got it from a website, but it's really helpful if you're blind and visually impaired, or if you're just sighted and you don't want to have to look at the numbers here. But for someone who's blind or visually impaired, these measurement numbers here on the side that are just etched into the metal are really hard to see. And I've tried multiple things. I've tried putting Sharpie where the usual seam allowance is, but it usually rubs off. I've tried tape, but that comes off. And then I discovered a website that has a whole bunch of tips about easier sewing, and they mentioned wrapping a hair tie around. What you have to do though is take out your box of stuff so you can wrap it around like that, and then you can just put your thing back on. So let me zoom in a little. So what I've discovered is this little notch right here. It might be different on your machine, it might not be, but that's pretty much perfect for 5/8, which is usually where the seam allowance is on most patterns, on most commercial patterns I should say. So I usually just use my magnifier for this, which is the next step or next tip, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, so there you go. You just have pretty much a raised up guide to sewing, and I will show you with this brown fabric. Basically just have a guide to help you. And you can use, you can feel, you don't have to be anywhere near the foot or the needle. You can feel back here where you're lining up your fabric with your hair tie. And so you have a relatively straight stitch doing it that way. It's also good if you're not blind or visually impaired too, because you pretty much get a straight stitch every time with this. You don't have to try and keep your fabric straight and even on the line as much. You can just, you don't have to worry about concentrating on looking at the line to make sure you're following it. You can just follow this like groove thing. So honestly, it's better for like everybody. So yeah. Tip number 3, using your phone as your magnifier. You can use any kind of magnifier you want, but honestly I like using my phone just because I actually use my camera. There you can see pretty well the display. The display isn't backlit on mine, which is another thing I want, or another reason why I want to upgrade. So yeah, you can see pretty easily. There's your stitch length, stitch width, and then the number of your stitch number. I gotta back up to do this. So if you, this is hard to film. Okay. So that, yeah, see, now you can see all of your stitches too. If you zoom in, you can zoom in however you want. And my phone is an LG G5. So the camera is really good when it comes to focusing. So I guess it all depends on how well your phone does with focusing. I know there's also apps you can get that are magnifying, but honestly I find my phone works a lot, or my camera works a lot better for this. This is also good for finding your seam allowance line here. Those are the little etched in numbers that are hard to see. I know even sighted people sometimes, or fully sighted people sometimes, have a hard time seeing these grooved things. So this one right here is where you would do most commercial patterns with 5/8. So yeah, that's tip number 3. Number 4 is a tip to help with hemming. So what I do, here's another fabric, another piece of that brown fabric. If I need to fold up a hem 1 inch, I usually just do 3/8 or 5/8 one time. So basically you're gonna sew in a guideline. You can also draw this out with chalk or something, but I find sewing it's better because you can feel the line. So that's 5/8 of an inch right there, and then you can feel the thread here, so you can just fold along the line. And for hems, you don't have to be too exact. 5/8 is really close to a half anyway. So if your hem is supposed to be an inch, you can just fold it once over 5/8, fold it again 5/8. It'll be a teeny bit more than an inch, but not by too much. And then you fold it like that, and you just put your pin in there. And then you keep following your guideline, and this will give you pretty much a straight, even hem every single time. This is just a normal folded over hem. This isn't a blind hem or anything. I honestly have not mastered how to do a blind hem, but this one is pretty good if you're able to get close to the edge, which I have been practicing a lot lately. I'm just gonna sew it. I'm going faster than someone probably should because I've been doing this for like 4 years, so yeah. Also, I'm putting the pins in wrong. If you guys are doing this, you might want to put your pins diagonal so you don't hit your pin with your needle, which I've done a lot, but I'm just doing this really fast. There you go. So the seam, you can see, is relatively straight. It might not be completely straight, but it's right along the edge. And then you can see on this side. So yeah, there's another tip for you. Next tip is threading a bobbin. So, see, I pretty much do everything by feel. I can't see any of this. Okay, so one of these little sections here, there's like little holes all around these flat sides. You are supposed to thread your thread through one of these holes. I'm going to show you an easier way to thread this thing besides just seeing it. So I have a pin. This one might not be complete. It's straight enough. So I recommend really long pins like this one. Also, I recommend these heart pins in general, or like ones that have really big heads like this, just so they're easier to work with and pull out. So you're gonna want, I gotta unthread my machine to do this. So you're gonna want to have some thread, obviously. And then what you want to do is take your needle, be very careful, don't stab yourself. Wrap your thread around the needle a few times. This one I actually came up with on my own. I actually figured this out without any kind of looking it up or anything. So you're gonna want to have to feel around for any of the little holes that this might go through. And you may have to go through several. You can always just drag your needle around until it goes through a hole. That's pretty much what I do. Sometimes it takes a while. There we go. Okay, so you stick your needle through the hole, and now the thread is coiled up around the needle or the pin and through the hole also. So you want to pull the thread down and thread it through the hole. You want to hang on to this tail, and then you want to pull the needle or the pin out, and your bobbin is threaded. So I'll show you guys again just in case you missed it. I hope this lighting is good for you guys. I am trying to use bright lights so it's easier to see, because it's easier for me to see with bright lights. So again, here's your thread. You're gonna wrap it around your needle, or your pin, sorry. I'll put this on against the white background. Okay, I do it a lot just so it doesn't get unspooled. And then you want to find the hole in the bobbin. Like I said, I just drag it around. Just don't be too rough with it because you might stab yourself. So I found the hole, keep hanging on to the tail, both ends of your thread, so you don't lose it. You're going to shove it through. Your thread is coiled up here. You're going to pull the thread down and through. Pull your pin out and done. And then you can thread it through your machine for bobbin threading, which I'll just do really fast so you can see. Doing this all by feel, by the way. I can see it. I can see what I'm doing. It's just harder to hold on to the threads and do this one-handed. Come on. Okay, I'm just gonna hold the thread with my mouth. There. And your bobbin is threaded and you're ready to spool it. Okay, next tip is using chalk when you're tracing out your pattern pieces onto your fabric, or just marking out your seam allowance or whatever you want to do. Wherever you use tailor's chalk, don't use tailor's chalk, because tailor's chalk sucks and you can't see it at all. Even people who have perfect sight have trouble with tailor's chalk just because it's hard to see. I have just Crayola chalk, sidewalk chalk. It's the best that I've found. I have different colors just because some fabrics it's easier to see, like on white fabrics we usually use like blue or purple. I'm just gonna see, it's really, really bright and you can see it pretty well. So let me try some other colors. Here's orange. Oh wait, is that pink? No, it's orange. Blind person color troubles. Orange isn't as good. Yellow's better. Let's try blue. Blue's probably not going to be very good. Yeah, you can still see blue, but blue's not that great. Purple, I don't think is going to work. Oh, purple is surprisingly bright. Okay, purple works. And then there's green, which should also work. Or not. That was embarrassing. Shut up. I think the green needs more of a stub on it. There we go. There's green. Wait, did I just go over the yellow? See, I can't see this far away. There's green right there. Okay, so you just kind of have to press hard with these, but you can get pretty much all the colors to show up on darker fabrics. Even yellow shows up on white, but honestly I'd probably recommend using blue or purple, or even orange actually is also really good on the white too, just because it's kind of like neon color. And this chalk is Crayola, so it's washable obviously, so you can always just wash your garment when you're done making it and the chalk should come off. Next thing is light bulbs. So we use daylight bulbs. We actually have our window open right now, so I'm going to actually close the blinds so you guys can see. So as you can see, it's still pretty bright in here. There's no light coming through here anymore because it's closed. So yeah, daylight bulbs, they help a lot. So you can see our workspace is still really bright. We also have these lights over here. Pretty much lights up the whole living room. If you are visually impaired, these help so much. If you have, these are LED bulbs. They are 75 watt equivalent. I would recommend 75 to 100. If you need a lot of contrast, 100 would probably be better for you. But 75 is really good for me, and I really need bright contrast, so that 75 works pretty well. And they are a little more expensive, but they're definitely worth it. They also save you on electricity and they last longer than regular light bulbs. And next tip, have a friend help you, or a fiance, like this one. Yeah, she's the one that helps me with the pattern cutting, pattern tracing, trimming, fabric cutting, trimming seams, all that stuff that I can't see well enough to do. But yeah, having someone help you like this one right here is a very good thing to have. And the final step is don't stress. Seriously, guys, I stress over this stuff so much only because I'm a perfectionist and this is what I do for my job, so I kind of have to be really good at what I do, and it's definitely stressful. But you know what, if you work slow and you take your time, you can pretty much do anything you want pretty much. If you mess up, you can always fix it. You can, what I always do is I buy a little bit extra fabric than what I need just in case I mess something up. And you can always have a seam ripper on hand just in case you need to seam rip something, unless it's pleather, but that is a whole other story and that's for very advanced sewing. And yeah, so yeah, don't stress about it. If you know you're having trouble or you get something wrong or something, you can always fix it, or you can always redo it or whatever. So that is all my tips, and I hope you guys got something out of it, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really love making these types of videos, you know, just to help you guys get a little bit more understanding of how I do things, and also to help you guys accomplish things that you want to do if you ever wanted to do this type of stuff or get into this and you feel discouraged because you have a visual impairment. Trust me, my vision is really bad and I can still do it, so if I can, you can, basically. So yeah. So that's all for me for today, and please make sure to give a thumbs up to this video. I would really appreciate it. And also please subscribe if you are new, because I love getting new subscribers and getting new friends on this channel. And feel free to contact me with any questions or anything you have about this video or any of the steps maybe that you're unclear about. I can totally explain it further. I can make a dedicated video to any one of these things if you'd like, with, you know, more detail and whatnot. And I would love it if you guys left me a comment on what type of video you want to see next and what tips and tricks you guys have, if you guys have anything. It doesn't have to be for anyone for visually impaired or blind. It can be for anybody. Also, please don't forget to visit our Patreon. Again, we offer $1 a month at the lowest, $20 at the highest. We give away one free wig every month once we start getting $20 a month donations. We will start doing the one free styled wig a month for you guys. And in between, you also get some other cool prizes and stuff like that. So go on and visit, and if you can't afford to support us on Patreon, that's perfectly okay. You can always enjoy our content here for free. And that's it for me, guys. I will see you in my next video. Bye.